So, if you don't know, MultiVersus announced its end of service today. Now, if you know anything about me, which is probably why you're watching this video, I've loved MultiVersus, both on the release and on the beta. And it makes me really sad to hear this. Of course, it felt like it was going to happen. If you've been following MVS, you know that this is going to happen. Not on like some hater type energy. But it felt very similar to what happened in the beta, where it felt like, you know, the things that were being told to the players were getting like a little worse. You know, there's still like content getting pumped out, but the things in between aren't really there. The substance isn't really there. And today we got the official announcement from the MultiVersus Twitter itself. So Season 5 will serve as the final update for MultiVersus, beginning February 4th, 2025, because we're Americans, and ending May 30th, 2025. After Season 5 ends, players will be able to enjoy the game offline for the foreseeable future. Pretty sad to actually say goodbye to MultiVersus. It's not going to be a situation like, let's say, Smash, or even like Rivals 1, where I can just like boot it back up if I really want to play. It looks like it's really just going down. And, you know, it happens with live service games. It's happened to a lot of mobile games that I play, but it's just sad to see. Ultimately, what it boiled down to, it could have been more on like the Warner Brothers side. Maybe the game just wasn't doing too well. Maybe the costs were too high. I really don't know. I'm not going to try to dig too much into it, but I will talk about some of the stuff that happened in the beta and with the release that I think were both good and both bad, because this might be one of the last times I like really talk about it. So one thing for sure that I will always say with MultiVersus in the beta is I think it's very overlooked how important Evo was for MultiVersus. Not only was it a big prize pool, which is pretty unheard of in platform fighters, but it was something to bring the community together in a way that everybody had something to look forward to, everybody had something to grind for, and there's even just a big community gathering there. There were so many people there to watch MultiVersus, huge crowd, big amount of hype, so many viewers on Twitch. And something like that just never really happened when the game re-released. And it never really happened again in the beta either. Like, Evo was such a one-off, and I think, myself included, many people were hoping for more things like that, especially with a game like MultiVersus, and it just never really happened. So on the competitive side of things, it felt like Evo was like super awesome, but there just wasn't anything to really live up to it. Now, not only that, you know, MVS, I think, was just really ahead of its time in terms of being just a game that you play duos. I think playing duos with a friend online is really fun. 2xKO has done something as well. They have like a duo mode that is just really enjoyable. If you've ever played with a homie, I think it's so much more enjoyable than playing a game by yourself. Coming from fighting games, it's not something that happens very often. So I thought it was really, really cool. But it felt a little weird when the game released in the beta, or not in the beta, out of the beta. Let me ask you guys if you guys would agree, because I feel this way. It felt like when the game released, the focus didn't really feel like it was about twos anymore. It 100% felt like the game was a lot more about ones. And I'll be honest, I don't think MVS super duper, I mean, it was like great in the beta, but it always felt like it was a game that was catered more around twos. Evo was twos. The game advertised itself as twos. There's a perk system that, you know, you stack perks and it's stronger. It always felt like twos was a lot more important than ones. And when it came to the release, this was something, the way that I word it, it feels like MVS lost a lot of its soul when it re-released. It wasn't as like big community involvement. There wasn't like a ton of, and I'll always say it, like the lack of Tony was always a big thing, because Tony was a lot of the soul from the dev side, you know? And we did get a lot of other devs who were like vocal online, the Cat, Ajax. But it just never, it always felt like it was a shell of what happened in like its online presence and even in like the game to a degree. And I think if that was like the only thing that went wrong, I think it would have been okay. But I think that was just such a good thing, you know? I watched a recent video talking about playing old school RuneScape versus RuneScape, like modern RuneScape. There was this line, it's from this YouTuber, Josh Hayes, and there was this line he talked about. And he's like, you know, playing old school RuneScape feels like, you know, you come home to like a cozy fire, you know, it's all nice. It feels good, and you're just like, it feels familiar, welcoming, right? And then, you know, you play modern RuneScape and it's more like, what happened? What changed? And it doesn't have that same like homey feeling. I feel like MultiVersus felt exactly the same way. Instead of it feeling comfortable, instead of it feeling like welcoming, like the game that I want to boot up, it felt like, okay, well, what's different? Why are things different? Like, what's changing? And I felt with the release, even if I were to play today, and I played so much of this game, I have a ton of hours, hundreds, maybe even 1,000 hours on it. And if I were to play today, it's the same thing where I really don't know what I would be expecting, which sucks because the game is pretty much done. So maybe I'll never know again, and I'll only be able to remember what it used to be and remember the feelings that it used to give me. To me, those are big things for me. But one thing that was just so stupid, it was so stupid. I really thought this would change before it got to this point, and this is a big reason why I didn't play Season 4. The monetization and some of the character unlocks is so bad, and it was bad the whole time on the re-release. On the beta, it wasn't this bad. How are you gonna tell somebody, look, this character released today, and you go to boot up and you can't play them? How do you do that? Who are you trying to appeal to? Not me, not you guys. 3 days early, you have to pay for it? And again, it is a free game, so don't get me wrong. I've definitely like had my fair share of being like, no, it's fine, you know, we can just wait 3 days. But there's so much excitement that gets lost when you're not playing a character on release. And then some of these characters are omega broken because something went wrong during playtesting. I don't know what, but it seems like it kept going wrong. And, you know, majority of players, if they can't play them and they're fighting this omega broken version of a character, they're just not gonna play. They're not gonna play. Nobody's gonna want to play. Nobody's gonna want to boot up and have to fight broken stuff, and they can't even play them. And even if it's not the newest character, unlocking other characters was equally as hard. Need you to buy to compete? It's not that. I understand appealing to like certain amount of people so your game makes money, but if the game wanted to make money that way, then it deserves to die. Because you're not keeping a player base, you're keeping your wallets. You're keeping your wallets thick. They needed so many ways to retain people playing, and I think they failed at retaining the people from the beta, and they failed at retaining people who had interest in future characters. They messed up on so many fronts that it's just really sad to see. The poor souls that bought the $100 pack. No, actually, I think the Founders Pack was one of the best deals this game ever had. I still have character tickets from my Founders Pack. Other people, if you spend $100 on MultiVersus today, you're not unlocking the whole cast. You're not doing anything with your $100. $100 for the Founders Pass was actually one of the best deals they had. And they never went back to something like that. TOs didn't want to run this game because there's no way to buy all the characters besides buying them, like straight up. And each character is like $10. There was like 20 characters. I think a TO is gonna get $200 a setup. A setup? Nah, that's a little much. Thought they added one. Well, that's the thing. At that point, nobody's running your game. They already shot themselves in the foot. There was so much that MVS did wrong that it didn't matter when they started doing right. And I ultimately think that is what happened to MultiVersus. Because even with the things that went wrong in the beta, per se, you know, like I said that the online in the beta wasn't that good. It got a little better, but it wasn't that good. It took a while for Rank to release. Some of the music wasn't too great. There wasn't like a crazy monetization. There was a lot of stuff that was wrong with the beta. But clearly, people loved the game. People loved the product that was in front of them. They loved booting it up, playing with their friends, going Super Saiyan with Shaggy and spamming his side B because it was just enjoyable. It was a product that had a lot of soul, it had a lot of character, it had a very strong community, it had like devs that we could see their love for the game. It felt like all of that disappeared. It was, well, I wouldn't even say was because I'm still living in that time right now, but it has and is very sad to see as somebody who put a lot of like time and energy into the game, especially talking about the positives. It is the way it is. The writing was on the wall. I think we could kind of tell that something like this was happening soon, but it is sad to know exactly, yeah, what it could have been. Like I have the Steam charts pulled up right now. You know, platform fighter having 150,000 concurrent peak just on PC that has crossplay. I don't know if this will ever happen again in the platform fighting genre. And honestly, if it never does, I will always remember the peaks that MVS had very fondly. Without it, MVS, it gave me my second big break in terms of like content creation. is the only reason I was technically an Evo champion. MVS, it meant a lot to me. It got my homie Nakat to have like a good job. It was really enjoyable. It was really enjoyable. But yeah, that being said, I mean, it's still going to be up for 4 months. It ends on May 31st. So yeah, I kind of want to read this fact too. I just want to read it because this is something that matters to me. Hi everyone, we have an important update to share regarding MVS. After careful consideration, our next season will serve as the final seasonal content update for the game. MVS Season 5 will begin on February 4th, 2025 and run through May 30th. Adding 2 new playable characters to the roster, DC's Aquaman and Looney Tunes' Lola Bunny. I didn't even know Lola was coming out, what? All new Season 5 content, including Aquaman and Lola Bunny, will be earnable through gameplay. Oh, so you don't have to buy it. Where was this when the game was alive? Both new characters will be accessible when Season 5 begins on February 4th at 9 AM PST. Aquaman via the Battle Pass as the first tier reward, and Lola as the daily calendar login reward. All online features, okay, this part, I kind of read it. I think this is really silly, but I guess it makes sense. All online features will continue to be available until Season 5 concludes on May 30 at 9 AM PST. At that point, there will be an option to play MVS offline via the local gameplay mode, either solo against AIs or up to 3 friends. To do this, you need to install or download the latest version of the game and log in during Season 5. Anytime between February 4th and May 30th. After logging in, a local save will be automatically created, allowing you to enjoy the game offline with all earned and purchased content. Oh, I'll get back to this. As of today, January 31st, real money transactions will no longer be available for MVS, which means you can no longer purchase Gleamium, but you can still use remaining Gleamium or character tokens to access in-game content until Season 5 ends on May 30th at 9 AM PST. Additionally, when Season 5 finishes, the game will no longer be available to download. Most importantly, you want to thank every player and person who has ever played or supported Multiverse. All of us on the Player First Games and Warner Bros. Games teams have poured our heart and soul into this game. We'll be forever grateful for the incredible support of the Multiverse community throughout the stream. Okay, one thing that I think is really weird, right here, you know you can't purchase Gleamium? So because you can't purchase Gleamium, and it says like allowing you to enjoy the game offline with all earned and purchased content moving forward, this lingo makes me think, like, let's say I want to buy the Batman skin with the blue cape. I think it's like the comic book Batman, but I don't have enough Gleamium to buy it right now, and I just can't buy Gleamium. So I'm hoping that everything is unlocked offline, because if I can't spend money to buy these skins, and I'm just like the greatest MVS fan in the world, it's confusing. It's confusing. To me, it's confusing because they've had like these just terrible monetization practices going into the game. I would think that they would at least make Gleamium still purchasable in the last couple months, maybe make a quick buck or two. But I just hope that with the game going offline, you unlock everything offline, which I think should have been a thing in the first place. Even everything being unlockable via just like grinding, I think should have been a thing in the first place. But the time has passed, I think, for me to like really dig into them so much on that. Ultimately, yeah, it is just a sad day for the people who do love MVS, for the people who did love MVS, and even for people in the platform fighter genre. Because until something like MVS comes again, we'll never really know just how big of a deal MVS was. And we know, but it could have been so much bigger. And it's not every day that a game like this comes around. But today is the day that this game no longer comes around again. Big farewell to MVS. Thank you so much for the last 2.5 years of content, even though there was a year of downtime. 2.5 years of memories, 2.5 years of community, just tournaments, just being able to meet so many different people through the game. I think a lot of the MVS community has been one of the best communities I've seen during the beta. And I'll never forget that. And I'll never forget that. Yeah, after the beta, I don't want you guys to mention MVS in my chat anymore. All right, after this stream, this video, no more talks, because I know everybody loves hating on this game, and I've seen enough. I'm happy to move on with my life, where I can pour my heart and soul into other avenues, other games, other content, just other, even just like myself. But yeah, with that being said, thank you MVS for everything. Thank you viewers, thank you players, thank you everybody for this journey. This might be my last video regarding MVS, because I don't think I'll play much of season 5, as I am very much focused on just playing other things right now. And you know, sometimes you just got to move on. And I think for me, it's definitely time to just move on. Just move on and see what else this little life of mine has. So, thanks for everything. Hope you guys had a great journey, as great as I did, maybe even better. And yeah, hope you guys have a good rest of your day. See you, YouTube. Take care.